Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hacking Self-Storage. So today we have another great guest on. He is called Richard Warner. Now, why I wanted to get Richard on the podcast is very simple, that he can talk for England. As you will find out, I have known this guy for 8 years. We set up exactly the same time. I set up in storage and he set up in removals at roughly the same time. And it's really fascinating to see the progression, because now he's going into self-storage as well. And so I wanted to get him on the podcast to talk about the reasons he's going to self-storage. But not only that, his company has the most 5-star reviews that I've ever seen in an independent company ever. I thought we had a lot of reviews. This guy takes customer care to the next level, and he really goes through it and details why it's so important to him and his company and the culture. And we talk about price, if he's going to do any offers with his self-storage, and he's not, because he don't want his self-storage to be associated with offers, etc. It's such a fascinating interview, and you will see that we get to the end of the interview, and I basically don't have any more time, because the next person that we're interviewing on the podcast was Joe Moon. She was actually waiting in, I could see it pop up saying Joe Moon is waiting in Zoom to come in, and he's still talking away. And I was like, come on, Richard, I've got to go. Come on, get your point across. And I couldn't get through I got through probably a good 75% of the questions. And he was like, whoa, Dean, you haven't asked me any of these questions. I've got the answers written down. I know what I'm going to do. Anyway, it was a really, really good interview. Bear with me, because at the end, it's ended like no other podcast that I've ever done. I've literally chucked him off. Richard, I've got to go. Somebody's waiting for me. And yeah, it's a really, really good interview. And I've got to say that Richard dropped some absolute knowledge bombs, which I've never heard him say before. And so it's a lesson for me that maybe I should let him talk more when we talk, because it was incredible. It really was. And I got an absolute ton of notes from this podcast, and I've learned an awful lot. So thank you, Richard, for coming on the podcast. It was thoroughly enjoyable, my friend. And I know that you listening right now will enjoy it just as much as I did. Okay, without any further ado, here is Richard. And I have actually said to Richard, we'll have to get him back on again, because we didn't get to all the questions. Anyway, there's still loads and loads of value in this interview. Anyway, I said, here's Richard, and here I am saying that he talks a lot, and here I am talking a lot. So it's two people who talk a lot. Oh, what a surprise. The interview ran over. Wow. All right, guys, girls, enjoy it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I will see you on the other side. See ya. So Rich Warner, welcome to the podcast, buddy. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for inviting me on. Absolute privilege.
It's my absolute...
I've been...
Go for it, buddy.
Something I've been looking forward to as soon as you invited me on. I've been listening to this podcast pretty much since the beginning, and I have listened to the kind of caliber of people. When you invited me on, it was a bit of a shock.
You're right up there, Rich. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Do you know the worst thing is? Obviously, the person that is due to come on, which I won't mention yet, who you've told me is coming before me, I bought her book. And so for you to tell me that she was coming on, and then a week later you're saying I'm coming on, that was some surreal pressure.
For those of you listening, it's Anne Ballard. Me and Rich was talking. We know each other. We live in the same area. And we was talking. He said, Dean, you've got to buy this book. You've got to see this book. And they said about Anne Ballard, the hat lady. And I said, Rich, she's been on the podcast, buddy. And then I messaged you saying, I've been in contact with her and she's coming back on the podcast. It's going to be a couple of weeks because she's fully booked up at the minute. But she's coming on in a couple of weeks' time. But she is amazing.
Yeah. So then that was... very surreal to be told that, and then I feel the pressure a little bit this morning.
You're under no pressure, buddy. So tell the listeners a bit about you, Rich, and what you do.
So my name's Richard Warner. I started Ladygate Removals in 2012, so some 8 years ago now. We are a small removals company. We don't have a lot of vehicles. We've kept very small, but with incredibly high standards. We tend not to push our luck with the size of the jobs or scale of the jobs, but we've become known locally as an incredibly good removals company with incredibly high standards. We've spent a lot of money on equipment, which you might ask me about in a minute. And I have a partner, Danielle. We've been together nearly 3 years. I love her to bits. She is my absolute world, and I definitely think she's maybe a better person. Certainly, my perspective on business has changed through her as well. I am about to get a dog in a couple of months' time, and in my spare time, I am more than often found working on my house, DIY projects, building, sawing, electrics, plumbing, anything gets my hands dirty.
First of all, Danielle is going to absolutely love that introduction, what you're saying, how much you love her, etc. We started the business roughly the same time, didn't we, Rich? And a mutual friend introduced us to each other because you was in removals, I was in self-storage, so there was some synergy there. The one thing that stood out for me, Rich, from the very, very start is how passionate you are about customer care. And for this podcast, I've been doing a little bit of research on you and your business, and I can honestly say, buddy, I have never, ever seen anybody with the amount of 5-star reviews as you. And that goes for national firms as well. That is incredible. So why is customer care so important to you?
First of all, thank you for that accolade. Do you know, it's, for me, the customer care, I think, is deeply ingrained within me. My background is actually hospitality. And when you're running bereavements for families, you're running wakes for families, you're running weddings for families, these are events that require a lot of organisation, and you've only got one day to prove yourself. There's no second chances when you're running a wedding or second chances when you're running a funeral. And for me, I think that has helped me a little bit with my customer service, customer standards when it comes to removals, but it is deeply ingrained in me. I think for me, when you meet somebody out of work in the pub, for instance, I want to be able to look them in their face and be proud of the service I offer. And I don't want them looking at me going, that's that guy, he moved me, and he turns to his friends say, how was he? He goes, he was okay. For me, I don't like disappointing people. So for me, I want them to stand and go, actually, it blew my mind away. It was not just the best removal service, it was the best customer service I've received. There's actually a book, and I can't remember exactly what the book was. I read a lot of books. And this specific book says that a lot of people within their industry try and be the best within their industry, and that is a complete mistake. When you deal with customers, they're actually having a relationship with you as your business, but they might be having a relationship with another 50 businesses that week. You are not just in competition with the other 3 removal companies, 3 storage companies that they've got quotes from. You're in competition on a customer service level with the other 50 companies. And this book says, when the customer reflects on their week, they're going to reflect on the highs and lows, and they're not going to pick industries. They're not going to say, oh, well, that was a low point, but it was because of the industry they're in. They're just going to generalize, and they're going to say, best customer service I had last week was, and if it was a haircut or a removals, or they went to a petrol station and filled up the car, it's all relative to the customer service aspect. So again, I always wanted to beat hairdressers. I wanted to beat plumbers. I wanted to beat the person who filled up the car at the petrol station, or the person who was running the corner shop on a customer service aspect. So I think, again, that helps us to push our standards to such a high level.
Do you know what, mate? I absolutely love that. I kind of lost myself then, and all of a sudden I was like, "Oh my god, that is so good!" I was just enthralled, and I completely forgot that I was actually interviewing you. I was like, "That is a massive takeaway." Just then, I would love you to find that book for me, Rich, and let me know what it is. But what a takeaway! You're not. Sorry, go on.
I'll try and find the book. I'm making a note now.
Yeah, you're not in competition with just the people in your industry. You're in the competition with every single company that person is coming into contact with during that week, and you want to stand out. I love it. 25% of my customers come from previous customers or word of mouth. That's so it's absolutely huge to make sure that you stand out with your customers and you make a real statement with them, and you've got to make them remember you as well. And you want every customer to be a walking, talking billboard of your company. And I think that after looking at your reviews, buddy, they're definitely, I know we've had this conversation before, maybe a year or two ago, but I didn't realize to what extent and how many reviews you actually got. So kudos there, buddy. I think it's really, really good. Where do your customers come from, Rich? How do people hear about you?
A good 60% now is recommendations, word of mouth. I'm
blew
absolutely...
my 25% out the water, aren't you?
It used to be many years ago. It used to be 1 in 50. It was appalling when we first got started. 1 in 50 was a recommendation. But what we're seeing now is a complete change. I went to a property yesterday where the only removals company quoting, nobody else is quoting. She's got 2 recommendations, both separate, both from 2 different friends. Both us. One of them hasn't even used us. He just knows the company and he knows the guys and he knows myself, and he's had connections with us over the years, but hasn't used us. But he knows people who've used us, and so this double recommendation has caused sort of a chain effect. And now we're going to see people who they're just getting 1 quote, and I've eradicated. I hate using the word we have eradicated our competition by doing that. If everybody just went to quote jobs against themselves, that's the goal. That's the perfect scenario.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. So you're not just in the removals industry now, you're actually getting into the self-storage industry. So why was self-storage so attractive for you?
Well, it goes hand in hand with the removals. Storage is required on a daily, weekly basis for removals, and sometimes it's a drop of a hat as well. We did a client on Wednesday. It should have been a standard house move, and 80%'s gone into store. So having our own storage facility is the next logical step. Now, anyone listening to this has gone, he's been in the removals 8 years and he's only just getting in storage. It's not for trying. For the last 6 years, I've been looking for a yard. And I know that's going to be one of your questions, I'm sure. Yeah. So I'll leave that for now. But the other thing, I love the idea. I feel like I'm away in the clouds when I say this. I love the idea of storage because for me, it's going to be part of the family. I pitched an advert months ago to somebody. His opinion of business or his perspective of the storage industry is different to mine. But I pitched this advert to him where the family sat around the dining table and they're enjoying the meal, and the children look up at mommy or daddy and they say, we're Saturday morning, let's go to storage facility. And they open up one of the dining room doors and they walk straight into their storage unit. And the idea was that the storage unit is just an extension of your family home. And the kids are there and they're playing and they're messing around. And then the idea was that the family have this storage container forever. They get it when the family gets bigger, and they can't keep it all the way through. And then later on, some 30, 40 years later, those children are all grown up and they're going to a storage facility to get the toys to pass on to their kids. Obviously, it's a very airy-fairy, pie in the sky advert, but the idea was that these people have this continuation, and especially with houses being made smaller and smaller at the moment, I think the need for storage is getting greater and greater. But it's also money. It's one topic we don't talk about, but there's plenty of money to be made in storage. And if these families see it as an extension of their home, they're going to continue to pay this money forever. And everyone loves residual income, money that trickles in when you're in bed overnight.
Yep, mate. I've got to say,
I've answered that.
Mate, that was absolutely terrific. And you just said an extension of your home. My tagline on my website is a hotel for your stuff. And I absolutely love that. But an extension for your home, I as soon as you said it, I wrote it down. And although me and you operate in the same area, I've got to say to the listeners that you actually rang me up and asked me, and we just had a conversation the other week because you're opening a self-storage fairly close to Beverley, to the Beverley location, and he actually rang me up and asked permission to do it. And you don't need to ask permission whatsoever because obviously you're in the same industry and it's, but the fact that you did that, I just want to publicly say I massively appreciate it. So thank you very much for that.
You're more than welcome. It's, for me, I'm always out to make friends, not enemies. And I think that there are some businesses out there that they'll walk over people. They'll not make those phone calls. For me, they'll do it their way. But when the chips are down and they turn around and they're looking for help, that is when they'll come stuck. Whereas I know full well the way we operate, the way I operate, making that phone call to you, I know full well if I ask you in 6 months' time, oh, Dean, got a problem, I know full well there's more likelihood that you would help me. And that goes to the removals industry locally. I try and keep on my side every removals company that I trust. Don't get me wrong, you're never going to please everybody. But it's worked in our favour. When we first started 8 years ago, I do mean every removals company would badmouth us when they went to do quotes. And we were new to the industry, and customers would ask me what I thought about other companies. And my instant response was, I don't know. And as we developed and we got to know them, when they asked me again, what do you think of X company? I said, they're really good. If they weren't good, I didn't say anything. If they were good, I would tell the customer, and I would say, at the moment, they're the best. We're striving to be them. And the customer would look at me and say, well, why don't I just use them? I said, well, you should use them. They're brilliant. But I'm being honest. If you want to use me, use me. If you want to use them, use them. And I tell you what, 99% of the jobs, 99% of the conversations, I got the jobs because they appreciated the honesty. And what I noticed was it was filtering back to these customers that actually bad-mouthing your competition is not good for business. And one by one, my competition changed the tact. And I'm really good friends with Carl at Arnold's Removals. He's been brilliant. He's given me loads of advice, and I work really closely with him. And I give jobs out to Carl, to Tim at Lloyd's, all these companies that helped me over the years, Britannia, it's Apple Yards now, all these companies we've worked closely with them. And I think it's brilliant that I get on with everybody. I like to see the vans, Hardacre vans coming towards us and I'm waving at them. And I think that's great. I don't like this thing where within the industry there's like an unwritten rule that you badmouth your competition and you say the wrong thing. It's not. For me, it's all about strength and unity. I do talk a lot. Is there?
No, mate. I love it. The three takeaways I've got from that are relationships are the most important thing. And for me, I've just done a podcast on motivated entrepreneurs, saying, because that's basically my podcast for my kids and stuff. As you know, you listen to it, and
I do.
I've just done a podcast about relationships and saying that relationships beats any degree, any if you can build relationships, you've got a head start over anybody in life, and that's one of the biggest qualities that you can have. And when you said about if I've got a problem, I will be at 100% there for you. Anything you need in storage or helping you set up or anything I can do to help, definitely there. And you did the same for me. I was moving home and I did it myself. And you actually rang me up and said, Dean, I'm really mad at you. Why didn't you just ask me? I'd have done it for free for you. I'm like, Rich, it's all right, mate. I know you're busy.
Well, don't throw away that word free around. We should have said off the record it was free. On the record, I'd have charged you £7,000.
There we go. So you've been looking for a site for a long time, Rich. What did you look for? Because you found one now. What did you look for when assessing potential locations?
Right. So 6 years ago, the number one was location. So I wanted it close to a main road or close to a high traffic route. Two was accessibility. So it's a big open gate. I didn't want anyone struggling to get vehicles in and out. And three, the shape. Some fantastic yards out there, great locations, very cheap. But when you're looking at a cheese wedge, it's useless for storage. There was one particular yard in Hull, right on a main road, right on a roundabout. Fantastic. On paper, it looks brilliant. You go down there and you'd only get about 15 containers on. And it's just because of the shape. And Peter, I do know a lot of people forget about the shape and the usability of the yard. That was 6 years ago. Now, anything. I will, if it's flat, semi-flat, I'll take it. If it's fenced, not fenced, I'll take it. For me, it used to be sort of the difficulty in entering the storage industry was money. I think that is changing. I think accessibility to even just the basic yard is the struggle at the moment. Land is becoming more and more scarce, and I think that is where in maybe 10, 15, 20 years time, that is going to be the problem. And obviously then with the less land, the price goes up as well. So you're going to have two factors. It will be money, but you're also going to have just the basic land that the containers sit on, or the facility, the warehouse. I know you've been searching for storage facilities and land, and I know that there's less of it about.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned something there that is so true, and it's something that I just got lucky on, and it's a shape. I didn't realize how important the shape of a outdoor piece of land is, because obviously it restricts you how many self-storage units you can put on, how many containers you can put on. And when you said that, I was like, my God, to have that insight 6 years ago was incredible. And you're doing outdoor storage, aren't you? I haven't made that clear. Sorry.
Yes, yeah. So we're going to do outdoor self-storage using shipping containers, which we spoke about briefly. So I'll mention it now. I didn't know whether to mention it. So I was absolutely, Willbox, you're sponsored by Willbox. And when I found out you're getting sponsorship, I was devastated, like crushingly devastated that you'd decided to use Willbox for your sponsors. And the reason why is that's who we get our containers from. Now, Willbox, we've gone through various different storage shipping companies, self-storage companies, and Willbox were the best. And not just a little bit better than their competition. Willbox were a million miles off the competition. And when you're selling a steel box, you think, well, how hard can that be? But very hard, apparently. We've had run-ins with companies. One of the companies ended up in court because they delivered some poor quality containers and then refused to give us our money back. That took a year in court before we did win, by the way. And the judge did say that they were completely in the wrong, and they treated us appallingly. But when you've gone through that, and then you've gone through a couple of other a couple of other companies, and then you get to Willbox. And if you've used Willbox, you'll know what I'm on about. And if you haven't, then when you do use Willbox, you'll know exactly what I mean. And then you've decided to get them on the sponsorship. So now everyone knows my secret. My secret is that they have the best containers. Even did you know like the location of the handles? And I'm assuming yours come with little rubber bits on the end.
Yeah.
So you imagine when your customer gets there in November and December, and the handles are coated in the rubber. Now, if you've gone to the storage facilities and they've just got the metal handles, have you ever touched them in December at 8 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah,
they are
Beverley's
freezing.
Yeah.
Beverley's got it right. I'll keep that quiet. So they're freezing. And for me, I was going through, my customer journey had to be this amazing thing. And when they got there at 8 o'clock in the morning, the last thing I wanted them doing is looking at their container doors, petrified that we're getting frostbite off the handles. So we come across Willbox, and again, just a tiny little thing that they do that no one else does. And it's just brilliant. And the deliveries are smooth. I can't say enough about them. I think they're just amazing. But now everybody knows the secret's out. I'm absolutely devastated. Willbox.
They do now after you said that, actually.
Yeah, Andy, Willbox, please don't charge any extra for me. Don't put the prices up.
Yeah, we're definitely getting discount now.
I hope so. I'm worried that they're going to get orders for 400-500 containers over the next few months, and especially the shortages in the UK at the moment. Andy, keep me some back, please.
do you know what? We actually turned down a couple of people who actually wanted to sponsor the podcast, and it wasn't because it was bad companies, it's because I had never used them, and so I know that it's a trust thing, and I wanted to make sure that whoever sponsored the podcast was somebody that I know, like, and trust. And there's another 2 sponsors coming on board very, very soon. I mean, it might be on this when this goes live, one of the sponsors might be already on it, and so there'll be a mid-roll and a sponsorship at the very, very end. And the reason why I like to do it is because I genuinely believe that these people, these companies can actually help assist people in the industry, and the people that I actually personally use. And obviously being in the industry now for over 8 years, you come across the good, the bad, the ugly, and it's good just to recommend businesses that are, that are going to do a good job.
And Willbox is definitely one of them. Yeah, we went through 5-6 companies.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. I hate to say it to the other 5-6 companies that don't get our business. You're delivering a steel box. It should be relatively easy, but it again, it goes back to customer service. My expectations were relatively low. I'm buying a steel box. My expectations are, I buy a steel box, it gets delivered, end of. And so my expectations were relatively low for that industry. And they weren't even met, which is really sad. But Willbox actually smashed it out the park.
Good to know, Rich. So when you open your storage facility, will you be doing any offers? No. Which I know goes... That'll be the shortest, out of all the questions you get, that's probably the shortest response. I can elaborate, and obviously you know me, I'm a bit of a talker, so I will. I know in the storage industry, offers are a big thing, big decisions. There's various offers. When we started Ladygate, we did an offer. We've only ever done one offer, and it was 10% off. And as the housing market slowed, we'd introduced 10% off. It was done on a leaflet system, and we do that. We do offer a small discount for NHS emergency workers, key workers, and that is, I think that's very standard across all industries. But when it comes to Ladygate and our industry, we don't negotiate either. So if somebody rings me up and says, "Rich, I want to use you, but I've had a quote from X or Y, and they are £50 cheaper." I go, "Right, okay, I wish you all the best with using them." And I go to put the phone down, I go, whoa, no, Rich, that's not what I mean. Can you do, I know what you mean, you want £50 off. Well, I priced my product at this price for a good reason. And I've had this discussion with a few customers over the years. When I say a few, probably hundreds. If I all of a sudden at this point say, "Go on, I'll knock £50 off," that means the £50 was there in the first place to knock off. Now, if you hadn't have asked me, in my opinion, I'm ripping you off by £50. Secondly, you know from a credibility aspect that if I don't knock that £50 off, the next customer that rings me, he isn't getting the £50 off.
and to everybody is on a fair playing field. We quote a job on an individual basis, and that price is thought about carefully. It covers every aspect of our business, and we just don't negotiate, and we never have done, and I never will do. We actually pride ourselves on our price point. We pride ourselves on our service. We pride ourselves on our vehicles, our team. I have such an amazing team. And if you listen to this, you are amazing. I genuinely feel I have the best removals team in the area. And that comes with a price. And I genuinely stand by that price. And I've lost jobs over the years because of it, because you're always going to get people who want cheap. So when it comes to storage, we won't do offers. We're just going to put in our price, and we're going to stand by that price, and we're going to be able to justify it. And rather than putting the energy in to saying, I want your business, but I'm going to go down the route of discounting, I'm going to go down the route of offers, etc., I will rather spend the time convincing that customer that they've got the right price point for the right service. So I'm going to say about the CCTV, the security, the padlocks, the entrance, the boxes, the accessibility, and I'm going to sell them on my service. So rather than using my energy to, I guess, claw them back by giving them a cheaper price, I'm going to do it the other way around, and I'm going to try and get them on a positive aspect. The other thing I do feel like, if you're getting customers on price, they might not be fixated on price to start with, but then they become fixated on price because of what you've offered them and how you've offered them it. If you get a customer on service and quality, they then become more orientated to service and quality. And if they're recommending other people, it's, why did you use them? Oh, they gave me a deal, they gave me an offer. Right. They then don't discuss your prices. There might be an ambassador for you saying, oh, use them, they're brilliant, they were really cheap. But they're not the right ambassador, in my opinion, I would say, because like I said, I know the storage industry loves an offer, but I want my customers saying, oh, I used Richard's storage facility. Why did you use it? Because he saw me on the CCTV, the padlocks, the security. I wanted to feel safe. And I want them using the words like safe, secure, CCTV, comfort. I don't want them using words like offers, cheap, price. And that is where there'll be, anyone listening to this in the storage industry, there will be, I know people will be shouting at the computers and the phones going, well, you're an idiot. You need to do offers. You need to do offers. When you go to look at a sofa, you've got 20 different sofa companies to pick from. There's the one in particular, 3 letters, they've got a sale all year round. I don't go to them when I look for sofas, because for me, I want the best price first time round. And I don't want to have to go through this when is it worth coming back in a month's time to get this better offer? I want to be sold on quality and service rather than price. And there's if I'm being honest, the sofas they sell, I haven't actually said who they are yet, they're not brilliant. And I know this, and everyone knows this, and it's just compounded by, we're going to give you this product, but we're going to give you it on a cheaper price, so that you're not too obsessed with the quality of it. You're obsessed with the price of it. And I think it can have a negative impact on your business.
Do you know, Rich, you said that was going to be a short answer. That was your longest answer, but I absolutely loved it, buddy. I feel like you was in complete flow. No, I loved it. It was brilliant. And what you just actually said then, it really does tell us a lot about you and how much you care about your customers and how you run your business. So I think that was absolutely fantastic, Rich. If people wanted to know more about you and get in contact, Rich, where do you think they should go? Anyone who's listening to this probably shouldn't phone me, because they know full well they'll lose hours of the day. So probably email or text me. So my email address is richard@ladygateremovals.co.uk. My mobile number is, this is my personal mobile number, is 07967 211 849. That's my personal mobile number, so if you need to get in touch. Over the years, I've given advice out to removal companies, startups. For me, it's a privilege to do what I do. I genuinely, and I'm not just saying this, I love what I do. And I have
a vast amount of knowledge about the industry. I'm not saying I have all the knowledge, but I do have a vast amount of knowledge, and I've learned over the years. And if somebody is starting a removal company and they want some advice, ring me. I will spend an hour helping you for nothing, and I will give you my time, because when I started, Carl at Arnold's, he gave me his time. You gave me your time, and that is profound. It's amazing to give somebody the time and help them. It's just brilliant. And as I'm trying to cut my words back, yeah. So yeah, get in touch. I'll answer any questions you've got. I'll help you. Yeah, there it is.
Rich, that is absolutely awesome. What an offer as well there. Thank you very much. I know everybody appreciates it, and I'll put a link to your email and to your telephone number in the show notes as well. I can't believe you give out your personal mobile number. That is next level. So Rich, all the stuff to say, buddy, thank you so much for your time. I massively appreciate you.
No worries. Thank you. Honestly, it's a proper privilege to be on here. Yeah, really, really does mean a lot. I know have you got any more questions? No,
that's it. No.
You want me to cut it short? Because I've talked so long.
I've got my next one in 4 minutes.
No, don't, because I'm never going to hear the end of it. I can't believe it. So Dean actually gave me a list of questions, and I wrote notes, and I can't believe we've overrun. I just wanted to...
Sorry, go on.
Do you want me to just... You know those quick fire rounds, right? About the recommended book. Because I have to say, I need to tell everyone this. The two books so one was recommended to me, and it was just such an amazing book. You've read The E-Myth, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
It's a book I try and tell everyone about, and I thought I've got the opportunity to say that is just an amazing book.
It really is, yeah.
And then can I just get one more note, and that's it. So Phil and Kerry, I know, but I've got this thing. I finally got a platform, an opportunity to say thank you to Phil and Kerry. Now, Phil was my business partner, which I have not even had a chance to mention. So Phil and Kerry, they've helped me tremendously. I can't even describe how much. And you asked me a couple of questions, and it was weird that I hadn't realised the impact they'd had on me. So Phil started Ladygate with me many years ago. He's not part of it now. We felt that the business didn't require two people, various reasons why. But you'd ask me a couple of questions, things like, what's the best advice you received? And I wrote the two things down, thinking, who told me this one and who told me this one? I realised the first one was Phil, the second one was Kerry. And it was, what was the other question? Again, it's like one of the questions you asked me, I wrote the answer down, thinking, who told me that? And again, it was Phil and Kerry. And so these are my friends, very close friends. And you probably, I don't know what I should say the rules. So you put about what advice was I given and what daily habits contributed to my success.
Yep.
The two rules I stick by now is, do you know Phil's 95-5 rule? 95% of your time is spent on the last 5%.
Yep.
And for a perfectionist like me, that's hard to deal with, because I get to that 95% of the task, and I want to spend more time on the last 5% to perfect it, and it pains me. But I did a worktop the other day, small gap in it, and I left it, and it did pain me, but it allowed me to get so much more done with my day. And that is a rule that I stick by now, and it's a rule I think everyone should stick by. You're great to be a perfectionist, but you get less done in your day for a perfectionist. I hate to say it.
100%. And I would even go a little bit further and say 90% is good enough.
Wow. Oh, don't. I'm struggling 95 at the moment. It really pains me. Don't be bringing it back to 90.
Right.
It's, and then
go on.
And then the last one was just do it. Just do it. Honestly, my worst mistake is overthinking things and then realising that I should have just done it in the first place.
Rich, I love that. I'm going to have to cut you off, buddy, because I've got the next person waiting in the room.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rich.
I can't believe it.
I really appreciate your time, buddy. See you soon, mate. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.